Now from the Dignity Health Studio at the Bakersfield, California, this is BVarsity Live as we join hosts Zach Ewing and with them as always, Trevor.
I don't have a last name.
That was like incomplete. That was strange.
I don't have a last name.
I'm Zach Ewing. That's Trevor
Jeez.
Horn. We like to call him Thorn. This is BVarsity Live for Thursday, January. What day is today? 22nd.
Yes.
22nd of January.
Ooh, my birthday's in 4 months. What are you going to get me?
I think next week, I'm ignoring that. I think next week, Trevor, you're going to be the solo host of this show because Lewis and I are going to be in San Luis Obispo covering wrestling. BHS Clovis West Wrestling, followed by Cal State and Cal Poly. So that'll be fun.
We're going to talk nothing but Oakland A's, Boise State Broncos for an hour. This is awesome.
Jeez.
This is
People
awesome.
tune out now. But this week, we have a good show for you. This week, we have a good show, and it starts with perhaps the biggest star in any sport in Kern County High School sports right now. Is it fair to say that? Can we say that?
I'm good with that.
CJ West, ladies and gentlemen. Been trying to get her in here for a couple of weeks. She's here, Garces girls basketball. She's only a junior, but she's already whipping up on pretty much everybody in the state. CJ, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good until I started burning your ears off with those comments, right? No, but seriously, Coach Dennison doesn't give us your stats on Max Prep.
Yeah,
so we don't know your
heard a lot
stats.
for that.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Well, I know what you're I know you're averaging what about 20.1 points per game, and about 803 rebounds per game ish. Ish.
You know, we're going to have Pagmeter on later to talk about a lot of different stuff, but he has you guys. I think number 2 in the section. Then underneath it says CJ West, 27 points.
Doesn't
per game.
even say CJ.
Oh yeah,
West,
it says
sadly.
CJ Bell. By the way.
Oh,
we're gonna give
sure.
him crap about that too. But and then it says Rihanna Dugan 22 points a game and somebody else. And so
Riley's got like 18
yeah,
a
and
game.
you add it all up and you're like, wait a minute,
Victoria.
they score 89 points a game
just
those
by
5 players.
just from those 5.
There's something wrong
Not
here.
the other 4.
But you have scored 89 points in some games, and you've
Yeah.
kept teams to like 8 points. And I mean,
Right.
The Garces is 16-1 heading into tomorrow, and just blitzing people tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah. Against Centennial, live on Bakersfield.com, by the way. We're going to stream Garza Centennial girls basketball. And I knew, last year you guys had a good team, and the thought was, hey, we could be even better next year. Mm-hmm. And it's come to fruition. Is it that easy that it's just the same girls as last year? I mean, what's been the key?
I mean, we've just worked really hard. I mean, even like just the feeling of winning last year kind of pushes us more like we want to have that feeling again. And so it's just like exciting. I mean, we always are hardworking girls. We don't like to lose. And so whatever we can do to just make ourselves better and our teammates better is just what we work towards.
You're a junior now, and you played kind of a starring role as a sophomore and even as a freshman. But as a junior, do you have to sort of take on that leadership? Are you adding that to your plate?
Yes. I mean, I would say in some situations I would be in the leader role. I don't think sometimes I'm that type of person, but other times I'm not. But still, all the girls look to me to ask questions or whatever. But at times when in games where we're struggling, I feel like that's when I want to and where I have to step up as a leader just because I've been in a lot of those situations before. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just the most of the time when I try and kind of step up.
CJ,
she just said they were struggling. By the way, I almost
laughed.
No, there have been some close games in there.
Yeah, the one loss is to Oaks Christian, who I think is like 5 spots ahead of you in the state rankings, where they're number 9. You guys are now number 14 in the state according to Cal High. Only Central Section team in the top 25 by Cal High after Clovis West lost to St. Mary's of Albany over the weekend in Stockton at the MLK Showcase. But for you, after winning the D2 title last year and going on and eventually losing to the state champs in the SoCal Regionals and moving up to D1, you've played against some tough teams. You played against Oaks Christian, you played against Sarah Gardena. You guys beat Windward, which was did Windward win the state title last year with Jordan Canada? I can't remember if they won or not. But that's a very well coached team. Their head coach, the former Stanford standout. How much of that December schedule do you think is going to kind of help you girls move in, and then obviously most likely play Clovis West in the finals if everything goes as planned for both of these programs, and then moving on, hopefully into a good run in D1. Right. Have you guys talked about that, all that kind of stuff going on?
Yeah, I think all of it helps us. I feel like sometimes not everybody cares what we did in December, what we did during the summer. But for us as a team, all of those games help us improve. We're nowhere near where we want to be and where we know we can be, but all those games just help us to work on different things and just to help us get better. So
I want to zero in on one thing Trevor said, that moving to Division I, and we can talk about whether it's fair. Garces is 700 students. It is a private school, which some people say private schools should play all by themselves. And I mean, whether it's fair or not, is it a motivating factor? Is it discouraging to say, in D2 we could have really won a state title or something, and now in D1 we're up against these schools? How do you guys take that?
I would say my teammates and I, we take it not as hard as our coaches and our parents do.
Okay.
I think we don't like the games where we beat teams by a lot because it's not fun for us anymore at that point. Because maybe sometimes the other team's players maybe try and play a little bit more dirty, or it's just not fun anymore. So we like games where people give us a challenge, and so I think for us it's just, we like when people give us challenges. So I think it's just fun for us. It's just more competition, and we love competition. But I think it seemed a lot more, I wouldn't say realistic, that's a bad word, but easier maybe to win state in Division II. And I think that's going to state. We just wanted to say, we're going to win state in Division II.
Right.
But now it's kind of a lot more difficult. And I think that, of course we want to win state, but it's just something that we have to work a lot harder towards. And we're kind of nervous about that, but
sure.
Yeah.
But it is a challenge, and that's
right.
also fun. And we still have to wait to see how the Open Division shakes out and which teams will be where and that sort of thing. So there's still a chance of a very deep run.
CJ, the same night that you guys beat Tulare Western 78-8, you guys obviously pulled everything back in the second half, running clock in the fourth quarter. It was the same night where there was a 161-2 game down south in Inland Empire. Do you know anything about that game? Has Coach Dennison maybe brought that up and, kind of gave you guys the same similarity where you guys were up, 50-2 over Tulare Union at half, and where they were up 104-1 at halftime, and just what those type of games go into and how you're supposed to play that through the sportsmanship aspect?
Yeah, I feel like we're a team that's good with sportsmanship. We don't like when other people play us with bad sportsmanship, so why would we do that to someone else? But we did talk about it. We saw it. We heard that the coach got suspended for that, and we always would get mad at Todd why he wouldn't let us press anymore, or why he would say just like slow down or pull it out or something like that. And so now we realize that that's it's unsportsmanlike, and at first we just didn't think of that being a problem. We didn't know why it was a problem, but sometimes I think that maybe it's not fair, but I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to understand. But then again, if I was probably in a different position, I would think something differently.
How would you solve the problem? End a game early, running clock the whole second half. As a player in those type of situations, what would you like to see?
I would say running clock. I don't think that ending the game, I feel like that's, although it's maybe taking mercy, maybe it's too much. It's kind of
like a slap in the face.
If I was on a team that was losing by 50 points, I wouldn't want them to end of the game early. I'd be embarrassed. I'd just rather finish it out strong than just kind of just give up and just finish the game.
But you said sometimes in those situations, the teams that are losing, you do get a bad attitude a little bit. That the chippiness tends to come in. Yeah,
some team we've played more teams that just finish strong with good attitudes. There's nothing else you can do. But then again, we've played those teams that they're losing, they don't like us at that point, and they're going to hurt us because we're beating them.
Right.
And so that's when we kind of get in dangerous situations where injury can occur. And so.
When people don't realize you guys only have, 9 players on the roster,
exactly.
So you can't even take the starters out. Literally cannot unless you're going to play with 4 players.
Right.
Yeah, your mass sub is, and you guys did that against Tulare Western 2 or 3 times in the second half. Your mass subbing is subbing in 4, and then one person has to stay on the court because you only have. Now, how is that going to factor in, or have you girls kind of just come to the realization this is how we play and we know how to play within just the 9 of us?
We do. I've been with Garces for 3 years so far, and I've gotten used to not being able to have a break, and so I think just staying in shape. I mean, we're all in really good shape. And so at this point, it's nothing that is really a problem. Just sometimes when we get in the foul trouble, that's when we really start to worry. But we've gotten a lot better with that since last year and even since summertime where we've had games. So I think we've gotten really good with playing with 9. I mean, it's not like we don't like using the word starters because we're all as good as a starter would be. It's just you can only have 5 players on the court at
Yeah,
one
I
time.
could totally see CJ coming off the bench.
I was going to bring up a sore subject, actually, the Culver City game last year.
Oh, yeah.
It was a 1-point loss, and there was foul trouble in that game, and that was a big factor. And it was, I think it was on both sides, if I remember correctly. I mean, it was just a very tightly called game where there was a foul every other possession, and it was like when you get into that situation, it can be difficult. But how much of a motivating factor is that game as you look back?
It's really motivating because knowing that we could have beat them is really hard to deal with because I know that we could have beat them and moved on, and just knowing what would have happened, like what if we did beat them, like what would happen after that. So it's really motivating to this year having to see if we win this game, what's going to happen. So we want to keep winning to see what's going to happen.
Now the good news in the what do you do in a slaughter rule situation for you guys is that you're in a new league this year, and it's in Division I. You're in the SWYL. You started it on Tuesday, have Centennial tonight, and then you play them again in a couple of weeks at your place. How exciting is that for you guys to not have to? I mean, in the SEYL, there were some other good teams, but it wasn't 6 deep. I mean, it was to the point where 2 out of every 3 games you knew you were going to have that problem where, first of all, how do you get up for a game where you're going to win that easily? Second of all, how do you get through it? You don't want to get hurt or anything. You don't have to worry about that this year.
Right. It's just like a weight kind of. We can just play and know that when we play our hardest. Sometimes I feel like when we play some teams we play down to their level, and so now that we're in the Power League, we just kind of play hard every single game.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do. And sometimes we tend to be inconsistent, but I think as the season progresses and as we've started this year, we've kind of like mellowed out that inconsistency.
Very good, very good. Well, again, Garces Centennial tonight at 6:30 on Bakersfield.com. That'll be live. CJ West averaging, like I said, we don't have the exact stats. You're at least averaging a double-double, if not like 15 points and 20 rebounds a game. Trevor,
that's a given. I was going to, CJ, are you figuring that you're probably averaging about 20 rebounds a game? But are you really playing? I mean, are you playing more than 20 minutes a game in half of these since you guys have been back from? No.
So the averages will go down too. But
I mean, I think you played, when I saw you guys against Tulare Western, I think you played maybe 10 minutes, 12 minutes the entire game. But you still had 18 points and 15, 16, 17 rebounds.
Yeah. So it's obviously dominating, and it's something we haven't seen in this town at least since Eric.
If we're playing
McCall,
a pickup game,
before that,
I'm
you're
choosing
talking Nikki
CJ
Blue.
first.
Yeah. What's that?
If we play a pickup game, I'm picking CJ first.
What? That hurts me.
Really?
No, I am too.
Really? You want to go down to the park?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't even think I can jump as high as CJ is tall. So.
And before we go to the break, because I know we're about to ready to jump to the break, we do have other news.
Sean
McEwen,
headlines, yeah.
Yeah, Sean McEwen stepping down as Independence head coach. We will talk about that more and what his future entails and why he did this, and then also the ramifications of the on-court brawl that ended the East-West boys basketball game last night that has since turned into forfeitures for West and East, meaning that tonight's game at Ridgeview for the West Vikings has been canceled, and the Vikings have to forfeit a huge SYL road game tonight to Ridgeview. So we'll have more on that later. Justin Roberts is over here peeking behind me. Not Jordan Roberts. This is the actual Justin Roberts. If anybody gets that inside joke.
Yeah, that'll be that's really too bad the fans are robbed of that game tonight. But
we'll get into that more once CJ departs us. We want to spend the time devoting this half hour to her.
Right. We have another segment coming up with CJ. We're going to get to know CJ West, the player and the person, coming up next on BVarsity Live.